but I must start by asking first. It's better that I know whether you've got some idea about the topic for tonight. Maybe you can already guess some of the things that we're going to discuss tonight. For instance, what was the topic for tonight again? Okay, look, what did it say? Looks simple but magical. What is it? In terms of health, yeah, please, we're going to focus only on health and wellness and fitness, about diet, about lifestyle, but focus on getting really healthy and being fit at the same time. So let's focus on what you think is that ingredient or one substance that is so powerful that it looks so simple, which some of you, when I show it after, you might say, oh my God, it's so simple. Is that simple? But yet it can give rise to some amazing stories. And these stories is not made up by me. Most of it is already been researched, and most of it is also been already by people who have tried the product for. I'm not talking about while science is going into a trend now. It's trending now, by the way. If you are not into the concept of health and wellness, it's already trending now. It used to be like turmeric. So you might say turmeric, but turmeric is already like 3 decades ago, the trending. And then we've got about people talking about spirulina. Have you heard of what else? Last time, even algae and all those chlorella. Have you heard of all that? Then green tea is still there. And then nowadays people are talking about ginger and even what's the word? They call it cinnamon. But lately in Indonesia, there's another kind of fruit which is called dragon fruit. No, no, it's not dragon fruit. What is it called? Um it slipped my mind. Okay, but there are a few that is in the market now that is already been said that it can help a lot of diseases. Okay, so let me ask, any of you have seen something which is so simple and yet there's a claim by not the sellers, not people who are marketing the product, no, by the scientists, by the doctors, by the nutritionists, and by the patients who used it. This is the one that makes a difference. In any case, like I say, it's already been used for thousands of years. And in fact, in places like India, Africa, and Philippines especially, it's like it's like rewarded by God to them that in places where it is so poor, like in Africa and nowadays in Philippines is so popular, this particular substance that they use to help them to improve their health. And you know very well, there's a lot of nutritional deficiencies in various places in Africa, and yet this plant was so-called the savior. All right, because once you take this plant or this substance in the plant, you are bound to recover from many of your so-called nutritional deficiencies. We are talking about protein, carbohydrate, fibers, what else, fat, and even the vitamin and minerals are so high, apple to apple comparison. Let's say people say this substance, when as good as egg, so high in protein. But this particular substance or this particular, if you like, plant, okay, is able to be compared to what we call just now, protein is available. And nowadays, synthetic plant. You know why? Because it has 36 times more magnesium than your egg. 36 times more magnesium than your egg. How about comparing spinach? The iron inside spinach compared to this particular plant, it has 25 times more than spinach. So if you can't consume spinach, you do take this particular extract, so to speak. Okay, and vitamin C, 7 times more than orange. How about vitamin B, A, C, D, E, K, even vitamin B12, which is supposed to come from the meat, from all those protein from animal. They can have it from this plant. How about if you think of vitamin B, especially B1, B2, B3 for the nerves, it also have as compared to alone if you are taking from yeast, or some people take it even from banana. How about almond? All these things are very good in vitamin E, but they have almost 12 times more the vitamin E in the particular or this particular plant. So can you guess already what's the name of the plant? Okay, what's the name of the ingredient roughly? Okay, I'm going to give you right now. Can you write down? There are actually two, but one is more superpower than the other one. Why there's two? Because it complement. It's synergistic. There are certain weaknesses of one, therefore the other one would have covered up. Okay, for instance, okay, the number one that I'm going to speak to you now has been given a name. The nickname for it is the tree of life. Some people call it a magical tree. Can you imagine that? The name of the plant is Moringa oleifera. And I think most of you have known about it because the last 1 or 2 months, I suddenly got a shock because I've been dealing with this moringa plant for the last 7 years. But suddenly, the last 2 months, I saw a sudden surge in interest, particularly from the Western world. They used to think this is only meant for poor countries, and it's not necessary for them to have a look at it. But now, since even the Korean and the Swiss and most of the cosmetic countries, aesthetic countries are looking into this. That's only one portion of the benefit. But I'm more interested in the one that is causing pain and aches and even cancer. So let's start from the hair. The hair, which is as you get older, like me, it becomes thinner and becomes, of course, white and all that. You're not supposed to just change the color like that, no. But it's still healthy. And the skin, if you do take them consistently, is very good for anti-aging. How about the brain? Notice I'm starting from top to bottom so that we don't have to forget anything. The eyes, the brain just now is good for Alzheimer's, for dementia, prevention of what they call stress and anxiety and depression even. All this thing has been done by research work. Yeah. By the way, if you look at the skin, that's one thing. But how about going down? Before I forget, the eyes because of the vitamin A. How about the lungs? Those having respiratory problem. If you used to get asthma and you like to cough, you sneeze, please try. I'll give you the formula afterward and the dosage so that you don't over consume, so that there are certain conditions that you can't take this. Example, those having blood thinners, having medication for diabetes, medication for blood pressure, all these things, because it helps, already known. It helps diabetes, blood pressure. It helps a lot of people having metabolic syndrome, even have fatty liver. Now, talking about liver, do you know that this simple, it looks simple, and yet, let me show you how simple it is, okay? It starts from here, from this small 5 cent coin size, okay? And if you look at it, can you see? All right, there. Have a look. This is one leaf from a branch like this, okay? I took it from at the back of my house actually. It's so simple. You too can plant it and start using it, okay? However, for those of you who are having like skin problem like psoriasis and autoimmune disease, you can also start trying because why? It also helps in immunity problem. The next one, which is most central to the latest craze, there is a couple of people. There's one particular doctor actually who actually almost fought with the authority and asking them, why didn't you tell the whole world that this simple plant is so magical because it helps in reducing diabetes, blood pressure, inflammation. Therefore, it helps in people who having cardiovascular diseases, which is the number one killer in the world. So actually, you can reduce a lot of mortality downward. It's been known that the risk of getting heart attack and stroke is much lower among people who practice this simple using this substance, which looks simple but magical. Why do I say it's more magical? Now let's talk about the most important cleanser of our body, which is called Mr. Liver. I mean, liver is the best factory for you to take care, among other organ, of course. But together with the kidney, let me finish up with the liver first. It has in the substance here, among others, minerals, vitamin, and all those micronutrient. It has chlorophyll. Have you heard of chlorophyll? Now, chlorophyll is a binder. Uh, it helps the liver to bind all the toxicity and clear it out. Now we go down to the kidney. Kidney too does get a lot of benefit from this particular moringa oleifera. How about the gut? So for those of you having gut problem, particularly reflux, gastritis, IBS, please can you try this first, because not only it has all the ingredient I mentioned, but one of the best is the fiber, which is very very helpful to increase the good bacteria. Okay, let's go down to your kidney, then go down to your urinary tract areas. So it does have good impact from the bladder to the urinary tract in order to take care of your genitourinary system. How about your kidney? Then we go down to your um, diarrhea or constipation. It helps a lot for those who of you who constipate. Okay, then we add to the joints, especially all those having arthritis, even rheumatoid arthritis and gout, especially. My God, I'm the one who have a lot of experience in this. Okay, and can we close with major disease like cancer and autoimmune disease and thyroid? Yes, that's another one. So I almost covered everything, including the nerve system, in terms of your having numbness and edema of the legs and all that. Why don't you try? Because this has already been tried by people all around the world by the thousands of years. Only lately that people become crazy about it, and we joined together with another material called gotu kola. Have you heard of gotu kola? Or they call it plant tiger plant. Or, the name can differ. Okay, no, Centilla asiatica. That's another name for it. This particular one enhance the power of moringa, especially towards the brain and the beauty. In other words, the skin care. So if you hear, the Korean are now becoming so famous to produce gotu kola oil or gotu kola supplement. Why? Because they knew that gotu kola alone is so good for the brain, the skin, and the what they call, if you have any bruises or any cuts, it's so good to heal this so-called pegaga in bahasa Malaysia, but in English it's called gotu kola. Scientific name is Centella asiatica. Oh, there's so many weird names. The compound inside asiatica, you notice I mentioned acetic acid that is available in so-called gotu kola, that's mixed up with this to become moringa plus. So if you want to ensure that you get from a very high quality product, because why? We so far that I found out in Malaysia is the only one that actually went through the hard way in terms of research and lab tests. we make sure that the product is well researched first. You know, spending like $1.5 million is not easy. Ringgit, sorry. We spend that much with two universities in Malaysia and one big lab in Japan to ensure that this is not a scam product. And therefore, if anybody wants to copy and try to match with us, we think we can know whether it's genuine or not. So if you feel that you're not sure you're getting the genuine product, please call at the number above, all right, or below, okay, and make sure you get the real original product. The name is DND Moringa Plus. It's been already certified by the government, by the ministry. It's been certified halal, and please, there's so many right now itself as I'm talking. There are 6 scammers that we are fighting against, and 2 of them is already been on the court case. The other 4 we are fighting with social media to remove their so-called uploading, because they use sometimes my video and just change the voice, or rather not the voice, they use my voice but they just change the product. Okay, so please be very careful. I wish you all the best, and once again, don't forget, it is called Moringa Plus. Bye, see you again.